Let's play this clip. This clip came from last Thursday, actually. And, you've heard Tucker Carlson go on, talk about how horrible masks are. And even Steven Crowder, apparently, when he was going into it with Ethan Klein on H3.
Bolsonaro was also talking about it.
Yeah. They all say that masks are horrible. Now, it's quite easy to find studies, genuine studies, that have been peer-reviewed and that have gone through rigorous, scientific methodology, that masks help. They are not a 100% guarantee. What they were saying the whole time was like, it's a Swiss cheese, is the way that you protect yourself. And you keep layering more and more Swiss cheese so those holes don't line up. It's like polarization of like glasses. I mean, it's the same concept. We only let in so much sun. Every time you overlay another thing, it gets less,
wearing a hat and
UV
being
rays.
under an umbrella.
And yeah, exactly. I mean,
and
this is
having sunscreen on.
Right. But masks, where masks are adopted, and it's hard to necessarily parse out, well, are masks an indication that people are taking it more seriously? And so there are other practices that they're engaging in. But it's quite clear that mask mandates weren't necessarily helpful, but wearing masks were. Now, the reason why mask mandates weren't successful is that it's such an obvious thing to do that the only reason why you wouldn't wear a mask is because you are pissed about being told that you should wear a mask, and you've been told by idiots about it.
Or because you just can't handle a piece of cloth around your mouth and nose.
It's not pleasant, but it's certainly doable, and it definitely limits or mitigates the spread of COVID. That's just the bottom line. But there's one thing to wear a mask. It's another to be pissed that other people are. This is how a really juvenile mind functions.
Oh, anti-personal choice.
Well, what it is like people are like, ugh, you're being so responsible. You think you're so great to wear masks. And I don't like that.
I don't like they are so resentful of liberal moral superiority, which they see as like some sort of this is like a physical manifestation of that.
Right.
Which is like I got news for you. It's reality.
This is like your rights don't just end where my nose starts.
Yes.
Your rights end where you actually have any part of your body that exists. And so here is some and these guys are actually like, I think these are like some type of religious dude. They are harassing kids who are like, God, I wish I had kids who would just sit as quietly as this. Look at this.
What are you doing out here?
Look
guys?
at these idiot face
What are you
masks.
doing out here? Why are you wearing a mask?
Turn up the volume on that.
They have you out here masked?
You don't need to wear them, you know that. Why are you wearing it?
Why the hell are you wearing a mask out? Where's your mom and dad?
CDC said we stupid.
What?
CDC said we'd die if we didn't.
CDC says you're gonna die?
Yeah. How come you ain't dead yet then?
Yeah.
How come you're not dead? Take it off.
Now, I should say, this was recorded by I think they're a religious couple. I can't remember exactly somebody had ID'd them.
They recorded it and thought it made them look good. It's very Jimmy Dore of them.
Yeah. And I love the fact that the guy's saying, like, you idiots, just as he can't figure out how to reorient his phone in such a way that he can get all of them in frame.
He's like, I want the full picture of the children I'm screaming at randomly to be accurately presented. There's 3.
3 children. I want to be able to, you idiots, what are you doing? You're not dead yet? Well, I mean, honestly, like what kind of mentality is that's like?
Tucker Carlson kept saying if you make your kids wear a mask, it's child abuse. I wonder what he thinks about random adults harassing children at bus stops.
Yep. Pretty special stuff from those folks. They just can't stand the idea that, and it's sort of interesting to watch them flail around. I feel like there has been a absolute failure of any of the right to get a narrative that is permeating the non-right. Now, that may not be relevant ultimately because, I think they're really turning our democracy into like a minoritarian rule. But it's fascinating to watch this. They're also going in on inflation. I think the other day I said that lumber futures were down, which is a big indicator. And there was a story about that in the Times today.
Right.
Just as the Republicans are adopting inflation scaremongering as maybe an electoral tool or maybe just as a way to like inhibit what the Democrats do with infrastructure.
Also a way to tap into the Bitcoin bros who point that as one of the big liberatory things about Bitcoin is that it'll control inflation.
Yeah, that's a great point because that's the new iteration of libertarianism. So
I'm not quite clear on how that was supposed to happen. How does Bitcoin...
well, supposedly because there's only a certain amount of
finite
Bitcoin that can be coined. So that's why it's attracting all these gold bug idiots.
Right. And that controls inflation because they're saying that we need to peg our dollar to Bitcoin?
Well, the Bitcoin's going to replace the dollar once it turns out everyone just sees the use.
Because there's a finite amount of it, so it can't be inflated, and inflation is not a problem in dealing with it, even though just a handful of wealthy people hoard all of it.
Do you know what would be a great way to make money? It would be to print or create something. It doesn't actually even have to be tangible, but if you were to create it and convince people that it was going to replace money and you had it already, you could dole it out, particularly if there was a finite amount of it, or if like you could only be generated with a lot of money to begin with.
Or like say you're a nation state that like just invests, or just a big corporation that invests in mining equipment.
Yeah. And you could print that stuff and say, this is going to replace the dollar and get people to buy it. And it would go up for a lot of the people who have it at the beginning.
A lot of the well-connected media people.
That would be a really good way to do it, to get people who had like a big platform to talk about how great it is. And then it would create excitement around it. And it would never actually have to be anything to make a bunch of millionaires. That would be a great way to make money. But of course, none of us can do anything like that because we don't have the computing power to create that.
No.
But what if we got, I was thinking maybe if we got like some type of flower, like a flower that's only around for a certain period of time. Like
I saw
a tulip or something.
I saw a story, I think it was in the Financial Times, I tweeted it out, but apparently a problem with divorce settlements is that men are putting money in Bitcoin, which is harder to find by divorce lawyers. So I think
now
that might
you
explain a little bit of the value.
Now you tell me. Now you tell me. We were thinking about taking Bitcoins back in the day for membership, and I just never got around to it. Now you tell me. Thanks, Matt.